Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. This is a sacred space where healing begins, intuition awakens, and your spirit remembers its power. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, author, energy healing specialist, hypnotherapist, and spiritual life coach. For over 35 years, I've guided thousands of souls to protect their energy, trust their intuition, and step into their most empowered self. I invite you to join me for heartfelt conversations, spiritual insights, and gentle practices that nurture your soul and inspire your daily life. And together, we'll explore how to rise above negativity, trust your inner wisdom, and embrace the truth of who you are, a divine, radiant being of love and strength. So take a breath, settle in, and know you are not alone on this journey. You are loved. You are supported, and you are more powerful than you've ever been told. So let's rise together and join me now as your host. Well, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, here to help you reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. And today, it is such a blessing to share this sacred space with my very special guest. And her light, her wisdom, and her heartfelt guidance are gifts to all of us. So welcome, Dawn, to our show.
Hi, Barbara. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So before we begin our conversation, let me introduce you to my listeners and share a little bit about you. Dawn is a certified life coach and founder of Purposeful Life Coach, where she helps women rise above life's challenges and rediscover their inner strength. And with a compassionate yet empowering approach, Dawn guides women who feel stuck, overwhelmed, or weighted down by self doubt to rebuild their confidence, heal from within, and create a life filled with clarity and purpose. And through her one on one coaching and the Purposeful Life Coach podcast, Dawn shares practical tools and heartfelt conversations that encourage women to rise above limiting beliefs, let go of that guilt, and embrace the confident, fulfilled version of themselves they were always meant to be. And Dawn's work centers on mindset transformation, emotional resilience, and rediscovering self-worth after difficult seasons. And her message is one of hope, empowerment, and the reminder that it's never, ever too late to rewrite your story. So welcome to the show, Dawn.
So
That was
true. It is never too late. I'm so happy you said that.
It's never too late. I rewrote my story. So, we all do when I feel it's that spiritual timing to do it. Then something, that light bulb goes on and says, maybe I should go maybe in this direction. So, and yeah, it's never too late, no matter what age, believe me. Believe me. So let me ask you, what inspired you to become, a purposeful life coach?
Well, it has to do with basically a pivotal moment. I was feeling very unfulfilled in life and in my career. I'd been teaching straight out of college, and I just knew one day I woke up and it hit me. It was like, it's now or never. I need to feel fulfilled. I'm totally not using my potential anymore. I had done it for decades, but now I realized I was ready for something else. I need to use my gifts and talents to make a difference in people's lives. And so I read a book, and this is now, and fast forward, I had been feeling that way a while, but then in 2020, I had time. I was working from home, so I was able to really reflect. And I read a memoir. It inspired me, it gave me clarity and focus. And what I did was I jumped into a coaching program and I never looked back. It was a leap of faith, but I knew this is what I can do.
It's amazing when we take that leap of faith and trust in the process.
And
I
it did
took,
involve trust because there were
yeah.
many times where I questioned, okay, is it happening? Is this the right thing for me? And every time I asked God for a sign, like, should I be doing this? There was something. And it gave me validation to keep going because I really questioned, because the process can be slow. Not everything is, you know, at a certain speed. It's unpredictable.
Yeah, it's very, and the thing is, we need to be patient and to trust the journey because the journey has, it's like a roller coaster ride. It has its ups and downs, but you have to say to yourself, all right, I know in my gut feeling that this is right for me. I need to allow it to be. And yeah, it's hard. So how has your personal journey actually shaped the way that you coach and connect with, women today?
Well, my journey includes growing up in a dysfunctional family,
Okay.
and I know I'm not alone, but all that and many more things I went through helped me to experience life. These are things you don't learn in a book. You can have the best education, but when life happens to you, it teaches you what you're made of. It really gives you the tools to survive and then later thrive. So, whether it was divorce or working in a toxic environments, they were not easy. And toxic relationships, I had to learn. I knew what life was like without boundaries, and then later learned what life is like when I created boundaries.
Yes.
So all of these things help me to connect with women, support women because I see that life's challenges, life's changes, whether they're invited or not. So
Mhm.
like I did a career change. I retired after over 30 years of teaching. Before I retired, I started this life coaching business. And that was a choice. That was an invited change. Many women go through changes in life that they don't choose,
Mhm.
relationships, loss, grief. These are things that I later experienced. So I don't think I could have been a life coach, like the most effective life coach, until I went through all these life challenges, disappointments, but I learned and grew through them.
Mhm.
And, when you walk through life and it's just easy, you really don't know
No.
what it's like. How can you truly support someone unless you go through it yourself?
Mhm.
Even being an empathetic person, which I am an empath and very compassionate, but so that is how I connect with women. I understand them, I listen.
And that's the most important thing because I know for myself, um, I went through like tough times, and then career wise, and then all of a sudden you decide, all right, because and as you mentioned, because we go through so much, we have a better understanding of everything. We have a better understanding of that strength and courage within because we've managed to actually, pass through the hard times, no matter how difficult and challenging they were.
Yes, and when I was younger, I would look at, say, a new teacher. When I was a new teacher, I would look at other teachers. And just from a distance, it would look like, oh, they have it all together. And someone has the perfect life. But that's not true. That no one reveals all the hardships that led them to that point of maybe making it look easy, making life look easy. And my clients often on the outside look like everything's fine, but under it all, when they confide and they do the work, the truth is there.
Mhm.
And we're all human, so no one has a perfect life.
No, no one has a perfect life, but I think it's how you look at it on an emotional and mental level. If you don't become a victim of it, of the bad things that happen to you, then I feel in my heart, without a doubt, we can rise above and then be who we're meant to be.
I agree. But some people, though, they get caught up in the negativity.
Mhm.
They're living in the past, or they can't get over what happened to them. And getting help with that can push you forward, and so you can live the life you're meant to be, to have, and be the person you're meant to be.
Without a doubt. And I feel that I think sometimes things happen to us to help us grow, not to destroy us. But it's again, it's how you look at it.
That is true. That's why mindset is so important,
Yeah.
because two same life events can happen to two different people. What are they going to do with it? How will they cope from it?
Mhm.
And how will they become better and stronger?
I know for myself, what didn't kill me actually made me stronger. So, yeah. And I say, and I even with my clients, and I see a lot of things that happens to them that I've been through, and I tell them, you have to like. Sometimes it's just about accepting it, and knowing that, all right, it just happened. You have to, letting it go is probably the most hardest thing for most people to do. As you mentioned, they do live in the past and they can't allow themselves to move forward.
Right. When you let your mind relive it and question it and personalize it, like, why me? Why this happened to me?
Mhm.
You know, and all that stuff, it just leaves you stuck.
It, believe me, it does. And I know, like, again, for me, because I've been through so much, I could have allowed myself to be in it, but I chose different. And I think a lot of it was me also growing up. My mother, to an extent, was a victim of her circumstances. And, when I look back, I say, wow, had she just gotten out of that victim mode, things would have been so different, for her and my father. But again, it's all the choices that we make, and the things that we feel we can handle. And some of us can, some of us can't. So let me ask you. So I know you specialize in helping women rise above that low self-esteem and difficult situations. Um, what are some common struggles that you see? And I want to say, like, how do you help women? How do you help them like move, through them?
Okay, so common struggles I see
Mhm.
are women being affected negatively by relationship choices. It's huge.
It
So even if that relationship is over, they're left often with the emotional damage, the scars of the memory. And some of them have trouble getting past that. Some have been left with financial, you know, responsibilities due to someone. And it's creating a belief. And so I work with women to build them up, to see what they truly are made of, to examine their best qualities, characteristics, and start doing new things, small steps, as opposed to not getting out there and living. So we do a quick assessment right away to pinpoint where are you least satisfied, because you you need to start somewhere.
Mhm.
And there's more to life than just the relationship. So other things play into our happiness, our satisfaction. So doing that, building trust, being available to my clients, being a good listener is an asset. Of course, asking the right questions at the right time. And one thing I learned is, and this was as a coach, I learned really giving advice when it's not asked for in one of my coaching programs was called abuse. So I'm very careful not to give advice. I let my clients kind of come up with these aha moments, these power moves, but then I validate it because it takes practice. Some people don't trust themselves yet.
think a lot of people, unfortunately, don't listen to that gut feeling and don't, for whatever reason, don't trust themselves because, again, in the past, they may have, you know, choose the wrong partner. And so now they're not trusting whether or not they're capable and able to choose the right partner. So yeah, without a doubt, I feel that their low self-esteem, their confidence, their inability to listen to that voiceless voice that speaks to them, and to go with that feeling, and that should have, in like 99% of the time, it does make them create the better choices for themselves.
Yes. So there's this also an idea of I deserve better. If I don't feel I deserve better, I'll still go back to that same type of person. It'll be a new person who's really the same person. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Someone who's not compatible, someone who's just maybe selfish, all negative things. Because sometimes people don't want to be alone, so they want to be with someone. And this is what I say, they desperately want to be with someone and they ignore the red flags and they keep dating or something like that. So part of my work with some of my clients is we work on that. And over time, their eyes open to the difference between someone who really, seeing someone for who they really are as, a beginning, seeing someone in the beginning and you ignore those red flags. Well, they're going to be bigger. They're going to be large red flags as time goes on,
Oh, yeah.
if you can see it right from the beginning.
That 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 is so true. And I even say to everyone, there's always red flags. There's always pay attention, be more mindful of the words they say, how they treat you, and everything else. And if it doesn't feel right, don't stay in it, because then down the road, you will start to suffer in most cases.
Yes. So when you choose your partner, you choose your life, truly. It can be a great decision or it can be destructive.
Oh, I know. But my kids went through that. So, and I mean, they're both now in their 50s. So yeah, they they made again, their choices was their choices, but then they learned, and then now, once they walked away, and they walked away with courage, and with love and light and healing, to the other person, but then they made the choice. It's time to say goodbye. And it takes a lot of courage, though, to get up out of, especially like a narcissistic or abusive relationship.
Yes. And it does, because those type of relationships can wear someone down, break them down, and they may stay there because their self-esteem is so low
Mhm.
and they don't believe there can be anything different, anything better. There's no better vision.
So let me ask you, how do you actually help women reconnect, like, with their confidence and sense of self-worth, especially after, they've been through like abusive relationships, or getting fired from a job, or whatever it may be?
Positive mindset. So as we have sessions, as we talk, when I hear any bit of like the fear, the doubt, the negative talk, the negative vocabulary, that is where it starts, because those things are not serving anyone. So those things, and then again, making a list of their best qualities, because many people won't stop long enough to think of the good things that are inside them and their best self. They can be critical, judgmental of themselves, or just so fast moving in life helping others that they don't take a look at themselves. So that's what we do. This time is to take a look at yourself and gain clarity. What do you want? What do you not want? And then how do we get there? Small steps, ongoing sessions. It's part of the relationship. And no two clients are the same. Everyone's different, just like you and I are different. We may have similarities, but I really believe that I've seen such transformations of someone being unhappy and just not addressing their life to then someone who's like really living life.
Yeah, and it's so important that they know that they're worthy of finding that joy and peace and happiness, that it's their birthright, and not to allow anyone, I want to say, take it from them.
And you cannot grow without self-esteem. I've once heard it said this way, like low self-esteem stunts growth. So personal growth, any growth.
Mhm.
You could be the highest achiever, but it will be harder to do it. You can still do it. You can achieve career goals, but imagine if you had self-esteem, it would be that much easier. It's like your own worst enemy if you have low self-esteem. It's it's dragging you back, it's slowing you down from a normal maybe path of achievement.
Do you feel sometimes a lot of it can stem from childhood, like a parent, saying you're not good enough, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, and then it like plants that little seed in their mind, and then as they get older, they think that's real when it's not who they are.
Absolutely. Words have power. And I see it time and time again. It is something, and for most people, it is something in childhood that one parent was abusive or one parent was just absent or, neglectful,
Mhm.
maybe dealing with their own issues. They didn't mean it, but the child did not get enough support and and what they truly needed.
Well, that's it. And I even like for myself, I look back and I say, sometimes it's all that they knew. And back, I mean, I was born in the 40s. My parents were born in the 20s. So there was no one to help them or teach them, or, if they were going through things, there was no one available. So, like, and I feel like people like my age group, need to look back and say, all right, we need to like accept the fact that, and forgive them and accept that that's all that they were capable of doing, and they did the best that they could.
Yes, it can hold you back
Hmm.
and you can have because you can have resentment if you know, live in the, oh, I would have had a better life if my parent was different. I don't, I wish I had different parents. No, yeah, accept. And this is the way it was meant to be. And as adults, we have more choices. We have more control over our life as we get older. And we don't have to then repeat that with our own children. That's huge.
Yes. I always say, their journey was their journey. Your journey is completely different unless you choose to take on their journey. And if that's the case, then nothing will change.
Well, I tried to do the opposite of everything I saw my
Hmm.
it no disrespect, but that it was truly my approach. I wanted to have a different outcome, so I chose a different approach.
Yes.
And it worked.
Yes, it does. So yeah, you found that courage within yourself to know that this is not what you want, and there's no reason for you to stay in it, unless again, free choice, unless you choose to stay in it.
And by the way, this is um huge, but I see my parents as being very different type of grandparents. So the grandchildren are seeing a total different experience.
Take it from me. My kids are in their 50s, and the grandchildren are in their 20s. And yeah, I am completely different with my grandchildren than I was with my children. Because again, they were born in the early 70s. That's all I knew was what I knew. But as time moved on, I now see things so differently, and I say, wow, I wish I should have done it different, but you can't. And it is what it is. But I'm very, thank God, I'm very grateful. My two, children are really incredible adults, and so are their children. So I'm grateful for everything that turned out the way it was. So let me ask you, do you feel like I know for myself, I know I was ready to heal and rediscover myself, and my purpose. Do you feel that uh, or maybe I want to ask, what are some of the signs that somebody is ready to actually begin healing and to repurpose their life?
They are open for change. They're actually like ready for change. And it might be like in my case where I knew there was more. I knew it was now or never. This was my moment to change.
Hmm.
It had been a question mark in the past, like, oh, I've seen so little things about life coaching throughout the year. Dr. Phil being the first life coach I ever saw on TV. And I was like, wow, this is great what he does. I need to be on the show. But I really think that people have had enough. When enough is enough, and you just are not happy with the way your life is anymore, then you make the phone call and find a coach. You find
Hmm.
someone, you start doing things differently, set goals, and it's okay to step out of your comfort zone.
I know one of the things I feel with women, especially with women, they 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 find it hard to prioritize themselves without feeling guilty. So
So true.
do you help them? I know I did it also, even with my children. And I guess maybe to an extent, periodically I still do it a little bit, but not maybe a touch every now and then. So how do you feel, how do you help them actually prioritize themselves? Because women are so big on feeling guilty and, they don't have time but yet they can do it without that guilty feeling.
Right. I know mom guilt is real. When my child was small, I had severe mom guilt. However, um, many of my clients have adult children, and let's just say they can have guilt for doing the things like setting boundaries.
Hmm.
And I say you're not a bad parent for wanting something for yourself, for wanting to give yourself time, for saying no. The happier you are as a person, the better parent you can be. So those conversations and actually working things in to your calendar. So not just talking about it,
Hmm.
doing things in your life, exploring, what would represent fun for you? When was the last time you had fun? Do you have friendships and relationships outside of your family? Say, um, and working on physical health. So clients who start working out, getting a little active, then you start to feel better. You start to sleep better. And then your child is getting a better you. So no one should feel guilty about that. Just like you wouldn't want your child to feel guilty about doing an activity or hanging out with friends.
Hmm. I know a lot of women though feel very guilty, and I like even with my clients, I tell them, no is a complete sentence. You don't need to make an excuse, number one, if you're not able to do it. And if you say yes to something you really mean no to, how do you think you're going to feel? You're going to feel completely overwhelmed by it. And so it's okay I'd say I can't do it right now. I have too much on my plate or whatever the case may be. And not feel, of course, we're all going to feel a little bad that we said no, but I feel it's about us respecting ourselves.
Yes. You don't want to deplete yourself. If you give and give and give, overgive, and then there's nothing left for you. And that's another hard lesson I learned over time. I used to drop my life, stop what I was doing, and put my things after helping someone because it seemed like someone really needed me. And I really think it was self-sabotage. I was avoiding doing something good for myself many years ago. I thankfully do not do that. You learn and grow, and that's how we can be there for others to help them learn and grow
Mhm.
and not feel guilty.
Well, that's the thing. Guilt is a big one with most women, I feel. Huge. And even with my clients, they feel guilty. And I tell them, you have to take, if you don't take care of you first, who's going to take care of you?
That's right. And balance. So you can take care of your family.
Mhm.
You can take care of yourself. It's not one or the other. You have to find a way that fits into your, life because everyone has a different life. Do you have small children? Do you have many children? Are you a single parent? Are you a divorced single parent? But you have to find your way. It's always possible.
Let me ask you then, what advice would you give someone who feels, I guess, stuck or lost, in that feeling of life?
I would tell them that that's not your destiny. We're not meant to be helpless, hopeless, stuck, and lost. You can find your inner circle, start creating an inner circle where people lift you up and support you, and limit the people in your life if they do not support you, if they bring you down. If you feel worse after talking to someone, it's not a bad idea to examine that closely
Mhm.
because time and energy is everything. How can you do all these great things and have energy for yourself and a healthy mindset, be healthy physically if you don't have more of the positive and less of the negative? It takes a strong person to not give a toxic person, a negative person, or an incompatible person time in their life. You might think, oh, they're mean. But I've seen people do it a long time before this was ever spoken of. And wow, the fact that they were able to do that even from a young age, I applaud them. I applaud them for it's like you're conserving your energy and time to live the life you want. Because when you let other people get in the way who are just not, let's say, I've used the word supportive, but if it's not adding to your life is really what I mean, then
Mhm.
why are you doing it?
Yeah,
Like you
exactly.
find the people who add to your life,
Mhm.
celebrate with you, truly care for you, and vice versa.
Well, that's why, I always tell everyone, let go of those people that are filled with drama and narcissists and controlling and, you want to be mindful of who you choose to be around because, yeah, they'll either bring you down or they'll, help you rise you up. And if they're bringing you down, it's time to step away, no matter who they are, because it's not healthy for you in any way.
Right. And in the case of in the case of people who you're related to or who you might have to see on a daily basis at a job, if you work at a certain building. You're more protected when you work remotely these days. However, you can keep it light. You don't reveal personal things. You don't, you're busy. You're busy with other things. You don't have to feel bad. They do they really deserve a place in your life? You mentioned drama. Dr- Drama is just pointless. I mean, some people, I guess, like it, and they hopefully one day they can realize that they can still be happy without drama.
And
Drama
gossiping.
takes you away from the important stuff.
Yeah, it sure does. And that and the gossiping and and myself working, in retail, in corporate world, there was so much gossiping and drama. And I would many times say, I'm out of here. I don't need to, listen to this. Or if you have a problem with somebody, go over and tell them, have a conversation with them. Don't be telling the whole world about it. Do something about it. And I think that's where a lot of people, unfortunately, they may feel bad, that they may hurt their feelings. But then if you're talking to other people about them, that's not good.
It's not good. It's not good for anyone. And it it can deplete you, by the way, if you're just right, if you're witnessing it. Um, it's just small-mindedness. I mean, the people who talk about people are they don't have anything else
Else to
maybe to
do. Yeah.
focus on. If they
Uh-huh.
did, that would be the topic of conversation.
Exactly. Hmm.
I mean, we all need to vent, but you know, people feel much better when they can get something off their chest and vent. And it wouldn't be considered gossip if someone was doing that to you or me because they had a better intention. You know, they're trying to work through the problem as opposed to spreading this news.
Hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel too. So yeah, I always walk away from that because I won't tolerate it, and I don't want to be part of it because it's being fake. You're talking about somebody. It shouldn't, but again, everybody has again, free will, free choices to do whatever they want to do. So let me ask you, do you, what are some simple practices, I guess, to help the women feel, bring more calm, more balance, to that overwhelmed, body and mind that they're experiencing?
Look at how you start your day and end your day, like the bookends. Having a routine, not just a rushing time, or have a calming routine. Be prepared for your day somewhat in advance and do anything to give yourself that space for yourself. So even if you have children to get ready, help get ready in the morning and lunches and this, working that out that you can still have time to yourself before running out the door
Mhm.
and serving others and stepping into work perhaps. That's important. I also think that um, staying calm is possible. Some people like yoga, some people like walking, music,
Mhm.
calm sense. And I use the phrase buffer days. So even when I'm traveling, I cannot have just on the go day after day after day, especially on a long trip. I need one day where it's more a relaxing day
Mhm.
and not traveling too much, maybe not getting in a car. Even now at home, I have days where the car will just be in the garage and I'm perfectly content with quiet and home, work at home. The work I find so fulfilling. I don't need to go anywhere. And so listen to yourself. If you're feeling overwhelmed, find out why. Usually it's something on your mind that's repeating,
Mhm.
repetitive thoughts that are worrisome. And find support because you can snap out of it.
Believe me, you can, you don't need to stay in it, but um so let me ask you, being that I know you're coaching, what makes your coaching style, like unique compared to maybe other life coaches?
Hmm. Well, I I'm definitely an empath, so even though I don't like advertise it, I really feel what people feel.
Hmm.
And I can sense a lot through someone's pauses, intonations, things like that. And I care. So what makes me different as a life coach? Um, I definitely make myself available. So like I have some clients 10 p.m. in my time zone because it's going to fit their lifestyle.
Hmm. Which is
Um,
important. Yeah. I also do the same. Sometimes you just have to because they're struggling and they need somebody to talk to.
Absolutely. I have one client who has an infant. So we just came to the realization that it's better at night when the baby's sleeping.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, why didn't we come up with this sooner? But we did come up with it, and that's what
Yes.
matters.
Mhm. That's all that matters. Yeah. And I mean, I also do, online. I mean, but I see a lot of people in person because I do energy healing. But yeah, with the coaching, if once the children are asleep and they can actually like think a little bit, that's when it's a good time to have a conversation, not in the midst of everybody screaming and yelling and, not being able to really concentrate. So yeah. And I commend you for that because a lot of coaches won't do nighttime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've always been flexible, like a flexible person in general,
Hmm.
and doing my part to make things work out. And if this is what it takes for someone to get what they need, then I'm willing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes you a good coach because you go that extra mile, and it's not about the time or 9 to 5. It's whenever you're there to help them, which matters the most.
Yes.
So let me ask you, I know you have a podcast, right?
Yes,
Purposeful Life Coach podcast. Did I get that right?
you did.
Okay. What actually inspired you to do it? And what do you hope like your listeners take away?
Okay, it started because a friend of a friend had a radio show, like a worldwide radio show that happened to be a sports show. But it just so happens that when my friend found out, like when his friend found out that I was a life coach, that's how it happened. He said he wanted a life segment on the show, even though it was sports. So that's how it started. I did that maybe a couple of years, and then I branched off on my own. So on my podcast, you can listen to those joint conversations, and then very interesting. At the end of that season, I interviewed someone for the first time. Before that, it was just between the two of us. And now all of my are conversations and interviews with people who share their journeys, share their careers, share how they're impacting and how they can help others. It's really a beautiful thing.
It is, especially when, your intention is just to help others.
Yes.
And that's really, I mean, even like the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast, my intention is for people to know that there's so many other people that can help them out there, no matter where you are. And all you need to do is take down their information and get a hold of them if that person resonates with you. And that's why I decided to do this again. I took some time off, but now I decided to start it again just for the sole purpose of helping others and know that there's so much available help out there and that you're never alone on this journey.
when you do things with the purest intentions,
Hmm.
it's clear. Like I can tell through your podcast, and I've listened to a couple of episodes, and um I can't wait to listen to more. Number one, your voice is very soothing, authentic, genuine. And then you're bringing people out there on the podcast who have something to offer that no one would know about, perhaps, because the world's a large place. So,
Hmm. Well, people feel sometimes that they're alone and no one is there to help them, but there's so much help available. All you need to do is, again, try to find some podcasts that have people like such as yourself on, and that you can say, all right, that she really feels authentic to me and good. Maybe I should give her a call and just have a chat with her. And that's how you find people that are there to help you. Because so many people I noticed nowadays, there's a lot of people are really suffering. It's gotten a little worse. Um, and I feel a lot of people just feel, I guess, lost, on their journey.
yes. And it's easy to feel lost, whether it's through disappointments or not knowing your true identity is a big one.
Yes.
Once you get to know yourself and you're like a rock, you really are confident in that you know your purpose and you know why you're here, and then that's wonderful. I don't know
So
what else to
what are your
say about.
favorite topics, that or episodes that resonate with you the most? I'm curious.
Well, with me and based on views, what I can tell people were looking for, one was journaling, one was overthinking, which we talked about,
Hmm.
and another one was the physical clutter equals mental clutter. I love these topics,
Yes.
and no, those are three out of 65 or 70 right now.
Hmm.
Those were standout ones.
Mental, well, not physical clutter is the worst because then in your mind, you're always thinking that you need to clean up. I always tell everyone, if you have a lot of things, it's okay to give it away. I know like once a month I go through my house. Of course, I love my books. So my books, and my books are like, some of them are like, 50 years old. So they're with me. But it's okay to go through your house and get rid of things that you just haven't used. Why keep them? And then when we clear that clutter, it leads the way for new energy to come in, I want to say.
Yes, that overcrowding feeling or the feeling of things that are taking up space that we no longer use, to me, I find that suffocating. I truly don't feel good. So I try to be these days a minimalist. And what that does is I don't quickly buy things that are not consumable.
Mhm.
I'm no problem using things that are healthy foods and things I can make make nutritious snacks and smoothies and maybe an occasional appliance. But if it doesn't have a purpose, to me, it will lead to clutter,
Yeah.
and I'm not attached anymore to things. So, my worth is not connected to things. So I don't have to collect or save, say, clothing that I know I haven't used in a year or
Mhm.
doesn't look good on me, doesn't fit.
Right.
It's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay to release it.
Because somebody else can use it. And if it's doing nothing in your house, you might as well get rid of it. I have sometimes my clients come to my home. Sometimes I do a session here. And yeah, and I tell them if there's a book on the shelf you want to read, take it. And bring it back, but because then someone else is probably going to need it and read it. But it's okay to look through it. And, I have like a little mini, bookstore, you could say. But I've accumulated the books over the years that I've used all these books. I've read the books. So, and to me, that's something I love to do is to read. But I haven't bought books now in quite a while, I want to say, because I know I don't need any more.
Right, because books can be a resource.
Hmm.
You can reread a book and you have a different, you can always find something new and different in a reread for
Hmm.
certain books.
Hmm. Oh, without a
I,
doubt. Hmm.
yeah,
So let me ask you, as a coach, how do you personally stay grounded, uh, and purposeful when your life maybe feels a little heavy?
I spend quiet time with myself every day. It's necessary. And so that goes to my routines. And I I really need the balance. So if I'm gonna have some connection with people, networking or family, friends, or even at say just a day out on a public street shopping or something, then I know myself well enough that the next day's most likely going to be more quiet
Hmm.
and solitude. Um, it's okay if I want to just relax or do something mindless once in a while to
Hmm.
like, binge watch something. I didn't have time when I was when I was a teacher. I will tell you that. My friend used to always say, go home this weekend and watch Netflix. I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But now I do have time for that.
Hmm.
And I have a very loving, supportive husband who lets me be me,
Hmm.
not not judging ever. And we're very compatible,
That's a
and
beautiful
that
thing.
helps.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I married 56 years and he's always he never says anything, or he knows I need my space, I need my room, I need my quiet time, and he respects that. And whatever he needs, I respect that too. So it's important to have that type of relationship. And that's how relationships last, because you respect one another's personal space.
Yes. And we talked about the other type of relationships earlier. And now imagine being stuck in that, and how can you be grounded you're when you don't have that?
Hmm.
It's harder. You can, but your life can be so much more. It can be so much easier, healthier, enjoyable by your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your spouse, partner, and all the friendships you elect to have.
Hmm. Oh, without a doubt. So let me ask you, do you have any exciting projects or events that you're looking to do and share with everybody here?
Sure, I have several um, podcast guests coming up, okay, lined up. And I'm going to be speaking on a local radio station show in the next month or two. And I'm I'm really excited because I'm networking. So I was just at a new networking group yesterday. And so they meet regularly, and there was others that I'm involved with. So to me, that's exciting. It's new growth, and relationships are so important when you can align yourself with either other coaches or just other entrepreneurs, other small businesses. It you can help each other.
Oh, without a doubt.
So those type of things. And I've recently, even though it's not a future thing, it was maybe a week or two ago, I was a guest speaker and I spoke on gratitude and someone's business. They were hosting like an art night craft, but it was tied to gratitude. And it was very, very beautiful.
Gratitude is huge. Yeah, every morning I always say, before I start my day, I always say thank you and everything that I'm grateful for, because I'm just grateful for everything. And it's so important to have that feeling, no matter whether it's got my life's going crazy making or not. I'm still grateful for everything that is here.
That that is that's the way to do it. We can't just be grateful for when something goes our way or something we've been waiting for happens. It has to be a daily practice. And you said you do it when you first wake up.
Yeah, and I
And it
also do it at
shows
night too. So yeah, when I go to sleep, I say thank you. Yeah, all my thank yous. Yeah. And we need to, it's funny, many years ago I had a hip replacement, and one of my clients, I remember her telling me, "Gee, you're such a kind soul. I can't believe you're going through this." And I said, I'm grateful I'm going through this so that I'm able to see what it is I need to see and feel to help somebody else that may be going through the same situation. So I made it into a gratitude, even though it was painful though. But I looked at the positive side of it instead of looking at the negative feeling towards it.
wonderful. That goes with, that's very similar to the mindset that there's a purpose in your pain. So it's, I'm going through this. I'm not going to waste this opportunity.
Mhm.
If you have, what am I supposed to learn from this? And then you can be there for other people who are experiencing the same thing.
Exactly. So
Wow.
I could talk for a little bit longer with you, but we have another podcast to do, believe it or not, right after you. So how can where can my listeners get a hold of you, Dawn?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, Purposeful Life Coach, or my website, purposefullifecoach.com, or on any of the listening platforms such as Spotify, Apple. My podcast is Purposeful Life Coach as well.
Oh, great. I'm going to definitely listen to you, believe me, now that I know you have a podcast. Well, thank you. Dawn, uh, thank you so much. You're such a beautiful guest and soul, and I could just feel that you're so authentic, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate that about you because without a doubt, you are.
Well, thank you. And well, it's time to say goodbye. But again, purposefullifecoach.com. Check
Yes.
Dawn out. She's an incredible lady, believe me. And I was definitely very grateful for all your insights and the inspiration that you brought, to my sacred space. And of course, thank you to my beautiful listeners out there, for opening your hearts and joining all of us on this journey. And remember, you are powerful. You are loved. Your light matters more than you'll ever know. So until next time, just keep shining, keep believing in yourself, and know that you are never, ever alone on this journey. And have a beautiful week filled with love and with light. Love, Barbara.